Hey, hello. It's Tammy with Cheers to Creativity. And I posted early this morning that I wanted to show you the new layered stencil from Essential Stencil. So I am going to see if I can find us uber quick so I can do this with you. I was originally just going to show it to you, and then I decided I'd kind of like to try it myself. Now, I almost always do the layered stencils first to make sure that I'm doing them right or so I have the right colors. But you know what? Why not? Let's go for it. So I just need to find us, and I haven't not grabbed paint or anything, but I'm gonna show it to you first, and then we can get going. I hope you're having a good Sunday. Ours is rainy, but that's okay because I've been inside painting the whole morning, and that's good. Hey, if you pop on, please sprinkle this around. I think we're going to have a lot of people who are really going to enjoy seeing this layered stencil. I have such a mess in here. So here it is. Let's take a quick peek at it first. Now, one of the things I love about Essential Stencils, layered stencils, is that they take the time to show us what each step is. And that, for me, that really helps. See, I haven't even opened it yet. Because sometimes if you just look at the layers, it's a little confusing. But they make, by having those pictures as the step-by-step, so I want to take that out. I want to take it out. We're going to take it all out here in just a second. But it actually shows you what you're putting down in the first step, in the second step, in the third step, and then what your finished project should look like. Okay, so that is what we are aiming for. And the other thing I love about Essential Stencils, I base coated my board. It's not dry, so I'm not wanting to put anything down. Let's just move the board off for just a sec. So let's look at the layers and see if they make a little bit of sense. Oops. So when you get your layered stencils, what you want to do is make sure you're looking in the upper left-hand corner to see what layer it is. And these little pluses that are on there are your guide marks that if you have any way to mark them with chalk or pencil, they'll really help you line things up. Now, I hope my board is big enough for those. Uh-oh, I just dropped a bunch of things. This one has, this is layer 3. Is this layer 2? Let's see. This is layer, I just dropped layer 2 on the floor. Hold, please. So then this would be layer 2. And again, I'm going to look in that upper left-hand corner so I can see it. And this is be one that you'd really kind of go, what are we doing? Well, I would be saying that. And then layer 3 must be this one. So there you can see that there you're blocking off your background color with those palm trees to bring in the lighter version. So that kind of told me I needed to have a darker background. And then layer 4, is this layer 4? Layer 4 is going to bring your final details. So I'm going to pick those up. I'm going to move my iPad so I can actually have a place to put the stencils. Hey, I'm not always prepared. So here we go. This is the board. I just found a board, and I don't even know if my marks may or may not line up in there. And it's not 100% dry yet. So let me pull it down just a tiny bit. I just want to hit it. I think it's dark enough that it'll work. I didn't give it a second coat. But let me just hit this with a blow dry quick. Hi guys, hi Rosie and Brenda. So nice to see you. Okay, so moving things around enough just to check to see if I can stay on here enough to keep my layers, and I think I can. Okay, so I probably would recommend it being a little bigger board, but like I said, I went with what I had. I'm going to grab some chalk, maybe, hopefully. Chalk, okay. So let me put you down. I've laid down layer 1, and I'm going to do my best to do this upside down. I may have to pick it up a couple times and look. So I'm eyeballing what would be center because I can see a little bit over the edge, and then that still gives me the opportunity to use these marks. So I'm marking them with some chalk just so I know where to line up my next stencils. I didn't grab colors, so I'm going to have to kind of peek here, and we're going to look at what number. So if we look here, it looks like we have some areas of flesh. This isn't like one color and you're done. You kind of have to look at it a little differently and see what colors are happening where. Come on, move, move. Okay. You got yours ordered this morning? Oh, good. This is not, will it fit on a 16-inch round? Let's measure. This is 12 inches. Yeah, it'll fit on a 16-inch round. Yes, it will. Okay, so looks like we have our lighter brown. That's going to be part of our stable. It looks like we have one shade of the straw, and we need a color for a flesh color. Let's just see what we can figure out, and hopefully I have everything here. So I have a warm beige that could be my flesh color. Let's go for the lighter brown. Oh, I might want to go even lighter. Let's just see. Let's go with the fawn. That seems pretty good for a light color. I'm just grabbing colors that I have hanging out here. And they may not be perfect, but we're just doing the best we can with the first go around. And it looks like white on the beginning of her veil. Hello, 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 Joanne. And kind of looks like maybe after we get the flesh color on Joseph, we might need to go maybe like a raw sienna, or let's go with a heritage brick, something different. Okay, so we've done. Now I need another color for the cow. It looks pretty light. So what else could we use? I'm spinning my spinner over here. We're seeing what we can find. And again, my colors may not be perfect because I did not plan initially on doing this live, but why not? Okay, so I've grabbed some colors and we're going to see what we can do. Now again, just popping on, this is the Essential Stencil New Layered Nativity. You can order it now, and you can use the code CHEERS to save yourself a little money. And we're doing it, and we've laid the first layer down. Mine is just a rectangle piece of wood, but I've marked those little X's up here so that I can line the next one up a little more easily. So I'm going to start, I'm going to move some of this off the way. I have brushes from my other table here. I'm just going to stick a offload in my place here. So let's see what we need. I'm gonna start with white. No, I'm not. I'm gonna start with the flesh color. Okay. So to get a little bit of flesh color, this is warm beige. I'm using Decor colors. Of course, you can use anything you want. You're gonna need very, very little bits of paint because these are not large areas. So I'm looking again at that first picture. I know it's a little hard to see, but I see that it's showing me some of her hands too. So those would be the fleshy areas. And so let's see what we can do. So I'm loading my brush, I'm offloading it, and we've got Mary's face. We have baby Jesus's face. These appear to be her hands. I've been looking forward to this. It's been in the works for a while, but we had some delays getting it. It's okay. Because I've put this on such a dark background, I probably am going to need to give that a second coat. So let's not make that brush go too far away. And I'm going to use a different brush. I will say with layering stencils, I tend to use a lot of brushes. I just got a new set. I may have to go into those. I'm going to go to the white, and then because then I can do buttermilk on top of that. So white, again, I am looking where I see it on the example. My paint is stuck, so we're just going to pour a little bit out. This might benefit from, and I might do that right now. I think I'm going to. Okay. Remember, I've not done this. So if I seem like I'm if I'm overthinking things, it could be because I am. Let me show you what's happened with just that first layer. It is really going to be hard to see on this dark blue surface. So I think it would be best to actually start with white. And anything that needs to have a pop of color, to go ahead and give it a coat of white here. Let's just see if that works. So I'm going to grab a different brush and then come back over it with the color that it's called for. I don't know that I'll do this on every layer, but especially this first layer where we're starting to create a base for all these things. And there's quite a bit of light colors. So I'm doing a quick swirl of white across everything. We don't know if you would have to do this, but it seems to make a little sense to me that we do this first, and this will help our colors kind of pop a little more. I'm offloading my brush. I'm going to double check it by swirling it on the plain plastic before I'm swirling over my open areas of my stencil. I'm less worried about the stable. I think the lighter color will really show up well just because I know the color I grabbed. Maybe we'll do it anyhow. Make it all pop a little more. And I'm even just going to go right back over their faces because they were going to need another coat anyhow. I have found the biggest key with the layering stencils is, one, these aren't ones that you need to just try to get done as fast as you can. Take your time with them, especially when it comes to lining everything back up. And then you have a much more pleasing end result. When we line them up, we don't have any or very little gaps. This is not the stencil of the month, guys. This is a brand new layered stencil from Essential Stencil, and it will be a beautiful full nativity. So it's more than just Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus. We are going to be adding some extra elements as well. Let me go ahead and do this as a quick swirl too. It became available this morning to order. I do not know. I didn't have time to check again. I might do that. Why? I am going to do that real quick. See if I can see if they answered that question. It is in stock. It is in stock now, so that's good. But that would mean they probably whatever number they ordered is what they're going to have. So if this is something that you think you're going to need, I would suggest ordering it sooner rather than later. So I've given this quick white undercoat. Now I'm going to look before I go on and see what was white in the after the first go round, and it would be Mary's veil, not her outfit, just her veil. Okay. Probably should switch to a smaller brush, but we're gonna live with this. Baby Jesus's wrap, and that's what's white right now. I already have a flesh brush that we used, so I'm going to give their faces another coat of flesh. We haven't moved that brush, have we? I'm not sure where I put it. Is this it? Must be. Okay. So again, I'm just going to kind of tap in their faces. We had baby Jesus, we had Mary's hands, and Joseph. And then we're also going to have Joseph's coat. We have quite a few areas that are going to be not quite white, so they look like they're more ivory. They intimidate you? Well, I hope you'll watch this and see that they don't have to be intimidating. We're going to take this nice and slow. That is probably my very first suggestion, is don't try to rush these. So I'm utilizing this first picture, and I'm just kind of guessing those colors. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be those colors, but it gives me an idea of how they achieved that their first look. So I now have buttermilk, or an ivory color, and I'm going to do where I see those colors. Yes, I'm usually more of a swirler. I have a bigger brush in these smaller areas, and so I'm just kind of tapping those for now. Where else do we have? So we have a little cow over here too. It's kind of hard to tell what everything is to begin with. But again, if we utilize the markings, that will really help us line things up so it makes a lot of sense as we go. I base coated this with Prussian blue. Prussian blue is a go-to for me for a deep, dark blue. I like to add things to my sky, and I still might be able to after the fact, like by possibly just having a little more metallic in the background. We'll have to see. We're going to have to play. We're going to play. My little lamb. Beginning of my little lamb. That's her. And I'm still looking. So this part is going to show up as her dress. Plus, I'd rather take a little more time and do this one with you guys than try to get it in a, it's probably a straw color. Oh, we'll use this one. In a live for Essential Stencil. You know me, I like to do lots of things on those lives. And this may take me the full hour. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. Okay. So this is pretty much all of this color that I see. Then I would say, oh, but this looks like this color too. These really build on each other. I think that's why it's helpful to look at those pictures to get an idea. And what else do we have? This looks like the straw is a different color. And then we have the beginning of Joseph's clothing. So I'm not sure if I'm going to give that another one. I'm the queen of multiple projects. Some days I am able to pull it off, and some days I'm a hot mess. But I do like to show you as many things as I can whenever possible. I'm not sure this even has any paint left in it. We're going to have to find a different color because that color seems pretty dried up. So we're going to go with a little baby duck. And this is for the straw. This is also a good time to think if you really are considering doing these, and you might be doing, might want to do more than one at a time. But I would say layering stencils is where I use my most number of brushes. And I'm going to double check these before we're done with this, just to make sure I can see these colors. So this is the hay that's also that's in the barn. It's also in the crutch where baby Jesus is. And I ran out of paint. Grab just a tiny bit more. And Cindy says she's going to be working this on her live too, so you can pop over and see what Cindy did as well. Every one of us does things just slightly different. And that's not a bad thing. So I'm going to take as much of this off my brush as possible. I'm going to go back into my buttermilk here. And that's where I did this cow's head. And I have not done the top of this yet, the stable itself. The Prussian blue, I did dry it quickly. Oh, I'm so glad you placed an order for it. I think it's going to be a really pretty stencil, but I just think we need to remember we need to have patience with some of these, and that you can't just expect it to be a 5-minute project. Sometimes a 5-minute project looks like a 5-minute project, and sometimes we don't need it to look like a 5-minute project. We'd rather it look like it took a lot more time. Okay, I'm rinsing that off again. I'm going to go into some white. Make sure that I got her. Is that white or is it cream? Okay. And then let's just really quickly grab, I was going to do this for my light brown. This is fawn. Now, if you don't have different shades of brown, what I would do is pick your dark brown and then just add white to it to make it a lighter shade. Oh, and then we have Joseph's, coat to do. And we're just going to give this a quick swirl. Remember, I'm offloading every time I load my brush. My offload just happens to be on my lap this afternoon. It's actually afternoon. I'll work on this with you guys, and then it is time for football. Okay, so I'm going to carefully just lift it off first, just to make sure that I can see those colors, and I can see them, okay? Oh, but we didn't do Jesus's little outfit first. Look at me forgetting things. So this is Heritage Brick. need a tiny bit of that. And we missed his hands. Okay, so I'm gonna lift that off. We have some diamond dust on here, which doesn't belong here. Okay, so that is what the first layer looks like, okay? So what we're gonna do is take the second layer, and remember the way we know what layers are which is they're actually marked right on our stencils for us. So this is layer 2. I have my little marks on here, so I know exactly where to line this up. How I got those on there, I don't know, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do first, is I'm gonna lay this down. I'm gonna find those marks. Okay. Okay. And so this is a bit of the trust the process. Looking at this, I'd be ahead and going, what am I putting on here? That just seems like it's a little odd. And there's places that you're going to see that it seems like there's a little more showing here, or this looks like it's really close to it. And you're just going to have to trust it. If there's any little minor things, but that's where those marks are so important, okay? So I'm going to look at this again. And here's what I'm seeing on the second one. I'm seeing a darker brown that we're adding for the stable. I see bits of lighter blue being added. This kind of appears to be almost a grayish color that's popping in here. I would say that's about what I'm seeing. So there's the lighter blue. This is the brown. Here is a little grayer area. Here too, a little gray. A little bit down here, gray. Shading on his hands and her hands. So that would be a dark flesh color. Okay. All right, so let's see what we can do. First, let's start with that dark brown, just because I can see that quite easily. And so I'm just using a burnt umber. I'm going to pick up the brown, I'm going to offload it, and I'm going to hit these areas. And I'm actually off the board a little bit, but I think I'll be okay. I would recommend, oops, I just moved it, but there's another good reason why those marks are there, because you can line it right back up. Check both of them. And we're gonna, now I did not come back in with the white first on this, and we're gonna see if that is gonna work. Because I'm doing the dark brown, it does work, but I might question if I wanna do a quick coat of white first. So the brown is fine, but I think the reason those first colors popped as well as they did is because I did take that time to do it first, and it was just a light white coat. It wasn't solid by any means, but it really did help those colors pop. So we're going to do that again, okay? So we'll go ahead and put the brown on. Okay, I'm going to set that down. This was this our white brush? It was. So back to white. And we're going to give all of this just a really quick undercoat. You also, a small brush set, good idea, because I know I just got a new set, and I think it's within arm's reach, because I'm probably going to need it. And it also would be very helpful to make sure your surface was large enough that you can tape it down, because I'm hanging on to it too, just because I know my stencil is bigger than my surface. Okay. Okay, give it a quick bit of that. I use a fair amount of sponges. I don't know that I would want to use, I just think I like the brushes better for this most of the time. We're going to see what I can do. I'm going to grab a different brush here and make a light blue. I don't even know if I have a light blue out, but if I could create one, that would be great. Let's see. I've got this blue, and I know we're going to have a gray, so grab those two. Okay. So this seems like a lighter blue. I've got winter blue, and I don't think that's probably the blue. I think you might want something just a tiny bit brighter. So we're gonna see if we have anything a tiny bit brighter. Don't know that I want it to be too coastal though either. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna mix a little tiny color. I'm gonna put a little bit of a deeper blue, an ultramarine blue with my winter blue. This is not the December stencil of the month. This is a brand new stencil from Essential Stencil that is a layering nativity. I like that better. Double check if anytime you have to move things around that this is, your marks are still on where they belong. I'm using the guide that they provide for us to see what colors they used to kind of make their version for us. Doesn't mean I won't go back and play with colors after I do this the first time. So that's really the only oh, this is blue too. So this is little markings in the background in your sky. Okay. We're going to need a kind of a grayish color. I might go ahead and use this brush for. We're going to use some gray sky. I work with 3 sets of brushes, and some days, especially if I've just been stenciling a lot, sometimes I just don't have enough brushes, so I bought another set. So this is the gray, and again, I'm choosing this by looking at these pictures, and this is where I'm kind of seeing this grayish color, and I'm kind of, I might get this done and go, that probably should have been a different color. But we don't know until we do it the first time, which is why I almost always do it the first time before I show you, but I did not have the opportunity to do that. So we're going to go for it. So there's the gray. This is gray. And that gray could be a little darker too. So we're going to just, all I'm doing to make it darker, of course, how do I make gray? With white and black. So I can create a slightly darker gray by just adding a tiny bit of black. I would say slate gray would have probably been a little better choice, because I'm feeling like this is a little too light and I grabbed gray sky accidentally. So let me just scroll back over that. Just give it a little better coverage. So here's the gray part. Is this gray down here too? Yes, this is gray too. shading on our hands. And we have some shading on Joseph over here. Okay, so we got to go move on to the shading for them. Remember, we did them in warm beige. So pretty safe to go with raw sienna for their shading. I think so. I'll have to pop on and see what Cindy does with hers, because hers could be totally different than mine. Okay, so that, I'm making sure I've got all those spots covered. We're going to lift it up and see if it looks like it's adding to it. It does. Okay. Next up is layer 3. Usually have to deal with, that's all you do with the camera today. Layer 3, and again, we're going to lay it down first, and we're going to mark it up to these little pluses that we put on the very first time. And if you didn't see me do the pluses, I just used a little bit of chalk to put in there. You could also take a skinny little pencil and do it there as well. My board is smaller than the stencil, so I don't really have any place to tape it on. That's why you're seeing me hold it. Okay, let's look at number 3. So if we look here, we see 3. You're seeing a big part of the sky that's going to pop up now. You're going to see a little more color here and a little more color in your animals. And that blue, what we're going to do is we're going to make the sky a blue. So I need it to be a little darker than what I did to begin with. And then I'm probably going to go, since it's going to be like the shadow on that gray. I could just make it darker, or I could kind of go, we're going to see. We're going to see what happens, okay? So first my blue needs to be darker than what I used. And we're going to use a new brush. And I used my winter blue and just a touch of ultra blue deep. So this is the color I used. So now this is the new color. We're just going to mix it a little deeper. Maybe a little deeper. Okay. I need to mix up enough so I have enough, because that's a pretty substantial spot. Okay. Offloading it. Big area, start in the middle. Okay. And then as you get close to your items, just kind of pull away from the stencil or down from the stencil. And that will really help ensure you don't get any bleeding underneath. And even though they're layered stencils, should have I done white again here? Probably. I didn't. So we're going to do it on the rest of it. I didn't do it on the sky to begin with. I can't remember if I did or not. But we're going to just go ahead and continue on. I think that white is a good idea on a super dark background, just because it'll make your colors more true. And that way too, we are not as likely to need to wait around and do a second coat. If you are going to do second coats and you're going to blow dry between your coats, make sure you hang on to your stencil. Even if it's taped down, hang on to it, because you don't want to have to guess again. But if you've got your marks, you're okay. So I'm going to need a tiny bit more paint, and just need a little more of that deep blue. it's always fun to play with them in different ways, but I tend to try to do my first go around with the colors that they've done because it kind of gives me, it makes it a little easier for me to line up what they did. Okay, that's just me. Okay, and then I get a little crazy afterwards. So again, I'm peeking at what I've got. And there's the blue that's popping now. And then we decided we're going to go a little more grayish color. And then we have some more colors on our animals. So here we go. Let's see if Colonial Blue is going to show up. I think it will. I think it will. We'll find out. Okay. So I'm grabbing. This is for where I'm seeing. It's kind of like a blue-gray. Oh, what did I say? What did I say? Anybody remember what I said I was going to do? What was I going to do first? Yep. I'm going to stop. I'm going to do white first. So I'm going to go back into my white paint. And I'm going to go over all these spots first with white. Just a light layer. But that will help whatever color I put down on top of them pop. And that's important because these are your darker colors. This is starting your shading on most of these pieces. But if I don't have this white underneath it, it's going to have to fight that dark blue. So I'm thinking this is a good idea. I'm hoping this is a good idea. And I'm not worried about it being stark white. I'm just making sure it gets a little help. Sometimes these little marks, you're going to go, what is that for? But it makes all the difference when you're finished, when you see the finished piece. You go, oh, that makes sense. Okay. Oops, get this guy over here. And we'll go ahead and redo this part too. Okay, so I've given a quick coat of white. I think I've got all the spots filled. And now I can go back to what I started doing. And I said I was going to use this Colonial Blue, which is a blue-gray. And we'll go ahead and start over here instead. And you might see a little bits of your other colors that you've already done pop back through, but that's by design. That's by design because sometimes when you take this color and you go over a lighter spot, it's designed that way so that it's not all one color. And having a variety of colors gives your eye something to bounce off on. I'm just double checking here as I go over here. Oh, this is my cow. My cow has to be a different color. I'm so sorry. My cow is a different color. We'll skip that for a second. And my donkey's a different color. But my sheep should be good. It's a little confusing for me. This should be my sheep. And this should be baby Jesus's. And we should be able to do all of Mary. This blue-gray. But I do have to come back and do a different color on my cow. My cow is not gray, and it's not blue. So My cow is more like a brown. Okay, there's the brown there. And I think my donkey is more like the fawn color that we used on the first part of the roof. That's what I'm going for. And this is Joseph, so this is just for the fawn, or the donkey. The color is fawn. We're doing the donkey. Oh my goodness. And need something deeper than we did the heritage brick previously for Joseph, and it might have been a little lighter. So I'm just going to go and get a little of that and I'm going to mix it with a little brown. That should work. This is for his hat and some shadowing. It's a little tricky, guys. Here. And here. We did the blue. Right in through here. This is our little sheep that should have been that blue as well. And I think we just missed its head up here. All right. Let's give it a quick look. I think I do want to make sure hers is really... Okay. So we lift that off, and we do see a lot more detail coming into play. All right, Cindy, I'll pop over when I'm back doing my snowman. Okay, and now we are on to layer 4. Again, we find the layer up in the corner. We line up the marks that we made. Those are really important. Okay, this is where it should all just kind of come together. And again, I need to look at the colors and see what they are. And it's a little tricky, but here I'm looking at this one, and this looks like the brightest color. So either white or maybe even silver. Looks like the white is the highlights of these animals, and in her dress. Yep. And we have a second color of hay, which looks like it's brown, as does this down here. And then just deeper shades on our cow and on our donkey. Okay, let's see what we can do. I'm going to take the color that I easily saw first, which was the brown. Okay, I'm just going into brown. And this was easy to see. Double checking I'm on my marks. This was the hay under Jesus. And the shading underneath here. I didn't do the white again, did I? Shame on me, shame on me. We will stop and we'll go back and we'll find the white brush and we're going to give it a quick white first because I think that just being consistent with that is going to be important. And I'm not sure what I did with that little brush. We're just going to grab a regular stencil brush. That's handy. Back to the white. And that will help pop these two. I will come back and give them a second coat, whatever coat that's going to be. It's really pretty amazing if you think about it, that, oops, lots of paint, Tammy, that you really don't see it until it's all done. Just used all of our white. We'll do it again. One more white. Get this on here. I'm going to have lots of brushes to clean. That's okay. It's the reason I gave myself some extra time. Okay, uploading, double checking, finishing getting the white on, and then we will do a little better job of coming back with the colors that we saw. Okay, so we know we were working with the brown. We've got to finish the bottom. There are camels. Do you see them up there? You're going to see them in a shadow. Here's our brown rocks down here, or ground. Now you can see them, yeah. And they're actually, when I pull it off, if I'm correct, it should look like you can see them and their shadow, if that makes sense. You can see their silhouette and their shadows. Okay, so let's just give this another quick coat too. Okay, so that's what I saw for brown. Nothing up here. This is what we're doing. So we did the brown. We can go to our cow and our, looks like our, we go brown on the donkey. Let's do brown on the donkey because that makes sense right now. I'm a little confused right in through here. I'll figure it out. I will. So I'm going brown, and I'm going to leave some extra brown because I'm going to need to deepen that too. We go brown for the donkey. I'm going to go brown, a little raw sienna, and just a touch of black for a really deep brown on my cow. And then we have all this area in here, which, what it is, I don't know if you can see it, but can you see where this is the light blue, this is the dark blue, and we still have bits of it? It's a color in between. So it's not as light as my sky. It's not as dark as this. So, we're going to have to give that a tiny bit of thought. So we started with winter blue plus a touch of, to just give it a whirl. I think we're gonna go with a little bit of a, I think I'm adding a little bit of that ultra deep to colonial blue. We're going to see if this works. If not, I may have to come back and redo this. That's the other thing too, guys. If you do these, you might have to go back and lay any number of these layers back on. You might see it differently than you initially did. And because we've have those markings, it makes it very easy to line it up. I think you'll get to see this being used quite a bit this week. I think we were asked to wait until they knew it was in stock, which it is now in stock. So if you're thinking of getting it, it's not like you're pre-ordering. It's already there, okay? So, and I'm pretty sure that whatever they got the first time is what they're going to have because it's actually sadly close to Christmas. 52 days. 52 days, guys. 52 days until Christmas. All right. I'm peeking here. I need to peek. I need to peek. Yep. Okay. And is this the deeper colors here too? Checking on her. I think we're going to go back to white on her and then hit some silver in the sky, okay? Just a couple spots on her. And then if I have any silver nearby, I do. I'm going to clean a brush best I can. And because I'm cleaning it, I'm just going to go into some white to really pull as much color out as I can before I go into my silver. I'm going to come in here with silver. I'm not sure silver is even going to show up. We're going to see. Okay, it is time to see what it looks like. There you have it. You have the shadows and the highlights. And I'm not, the silver didn't show up as well as I would have liked it to, but that's okay. On your chalk marks will just go away with a little water. So I've done this, like I said, I knew this board was going to be really tight. I'm a little concerned there. I got to really look at that. No, it's like their highlight. Okay, I'm amazed at how well this turned out. I feel like I'm missing something on him. I might need to look. Okay, let's take a quick peek. We're going to take a quick peek because I feel like I'm missing something on him, but maybe I'm not. So if I go back to 4, I just erased my marks, but there was nothing on 4 for him. And we did everything on Mary, okay? It's 4. This is layer 3. Put layer 3 back on. We got everything on him. We did everything on her. layer 2. I think that just ends up being his shadow, but I do want to just lay it back down to make sure. So where we're going. We did everything on him there. And on layer 1, that should have been the very first color, which would have been, yep, there's everything on him there too. Okay, so that was what we were supposed to do. So that just ends up being his shadowing. So for me, what I will do with this is I'll come back on the edges, I think, because this is supposed to look like the night sky behind them, okay? And I know I don't have Prussian blue. I don't think I have Prussian blue. Let's see if I do. If I have any Prussian blue here, I'll show you what I would do in that sky. I don't know that I do. Payne's gray. Prussian blue. Okay, so let me show you what I would do just to give that sky just in the, I think it being dark is fine. I think it could look kind of cool if I have a palette knife. I don't even know if I have a palette knife, do I? Hang tight. Hang tight. You've hung with me this long. This is not a palette knife, but this will work for what I want to do. So if I make my sky, remember I'm just going to give it a quick coat so it's wet. You'll see why here in just a second. It doesn't have to be all the way down. I'm going to take just a little bit of silver. I have some silver here. And I'm actually just going to like put a couple little dots of it on here. And I'm going to smear that down. I don't know if it's going to have enough to smear or not. We're going to try it. And by that, I just mean I'm going to pull it down. I might just need to do this with a brush. Just to give it just some more. You could do that with glitter too, or I can just, there we go. I'll just smear down. A little finger painting. And then I think I probably will take silver and pull it on the edge too. Just pull it either with a brush or with my finger and just have a nice little edge on it. All right. I think it's a very pretty stencil. Let me look at it from my angle. Yeah. And I do think it's going to be easier when you look at this straight on, where I was upside down. But you need to have some of those lines in there because those are what ends up being your shading when you're using your background color. I think it's fun. So go order it, and when you order it, remember to use cheers, and I will see you again very soon. I am on tonight on Virtual Home Decor Marketplace at 7:15. So if you're looking for some Christmas gifts, I know there's a lot of snowmen. I'll see you guys later. Cheers.